Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
I don't consider myself a conspiracy buff at all, but when they get a lot of coincidences, I get a little suspicious and call me crazy.
Polls, weird talk shows, crazy groups every Sunday telling you what you think.
The Republicans and the Democrats conspire with one another, which they do.
There is a conspiracy by big business against American democracy.
We know that there was a conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
There was no conspiracy.
Was there a conspiracy?
It's a communist conspiracy directed out of Moscow.
The right-wing conspiracy.
Communist conspiracy is a deliberate and predictable plan of action to subvert the world.
Right-wing conspiracy.
International criminal conspiracy.
Vast right-wing conspiracy.
Great conspiracy.
There are all these conspiracy theories.
Was there a conspiracy? I don't know.
Perhaps themselves even involved in the conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
No evidence
of a conspiracy.
Anybody would have to be a fool nowadays to dismiss conspiracies.
Conspiracy
theory. Cockeyed conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory exists because there really is conspiracy.
But they never told a soul about it. In fact, they engaged in a vast conspiracy.
Sometimes you get accused of being a conspiracy theorist, of being a paranoid.
The historical context of actual conspiracy.
A conspiracy of bad people.
As always happens at some point in a conspiracy. One night, Cousin Eddie got drunk in a honky-tonk and spilled the beans.
There was a conspiracy, and government was involved in it.
Conspiracy existing within the United States government.
There was a conspiracy.
A
conspiracy by the CIA.
The conspiracy of a few.
Dark, secretive, conspiratorial, evil.
Then it was certainly a deliberate conspiracy.
High-level conspiracy.
The do's and the don'ts and the rights and the wrongs of the various conspiracy theories that are good.
Possibility of a conspiracy. In a moral sense, I think it was a conspiracy.
One conspiracy, that's all I'm talking about.
Full of speculation, conspiracy theories, and the like.
And what's going on here?
You began to wonder what was really happening in America. I mean, was there a vast conspiracy afoot?
You know, there could have been a conspiracy.
Do you think you're obsessed with conspiracy?
Conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy.
I'm afraid you'll catch me. I'm afraid you'll catch me.
A conspiracy would do the job nicely.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of your favorite conspiracy show, Baseless Conspiracies. I'm joined by the one and the only Zach Payne. Zach, how you doing, man?
I'm joined by the one and the only Jonathan Harold. How you doing? I'm good.
It's Sir John Harold, but
Sir John Harold,
Lord Harold to you, but yes,
I have a friend whose name is Lord Miles Rutledge. He's not really a lord, but he legally changed his name to Lord Miles Rutledge and like got it on his driver's license, on his passport. And so now when he travels the world, people see it and they're like, Lord Miles, and he just runs with it.
That is the best idea of all time. I'm going to do that. I'm totally doing that. I'm legally changing my name to, maybe I can think of something even better.
Viscount.
I don't know. Okay, those watching the chat, you got to tag me on social media with your best ideas. Nothing derogatory. Maybe I mean, never mind. I'm not even gonna say it. Not even gonna say it. Not gonna
Reverend.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like if I do Lord or Reverend or anything religious in any way, I'm gonna get shit for that.
I mean, Lord is that's royalty. You'll get shit from the chat if you go for British royalty.
Yeah, I don't want that. But I'm sure we can think of something.
I mean, you could just start signing John Harold Esquire.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're a property owner, so it fits.
That's true. We're getting closer. We'll think of something. I feel like the chat can come up with something good. I'm totally doing that.
Are you a senior?
No, I'm technically the third, but I'm not even really technically a third because like my grandpa is John Senior.
Yeah.
My dad is John Junior. They named me Jonathan because apparently my dad didn't like me, and then I named my son John again, the real spelling. So
I think you can claim it, bro. If I'm being honest here, I don't know that anybody's gonna like try to take it away from you.
Yeah, no, nobody's trying to do that except my own dad. except for him. But
Did you try doing it when you were a kid? And he was like, no, you can't do that.
yeah, you don't deserve that name. No, that didn't happen.
There's a reason I did not bestow you that honor, son.
We just got you close enough to like be upset about it, but didn't go all the way there. No, I'm not bitter about it in any way, as you can tell. But anyway, yeah, man, how's your weekend?
My weekend was good. I had just typical weekend. Worked on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I still worked a little bit, but I did get a chance to relax, get some chill time in.
Nice.
Yeah, we made dinner. I mean, we make dinner like every night though. So,
it's a normal thing.
It's a totally normal thing. Yes. Yeah. I'm fairly domesticated, really.
Yeah. I'm fresh. I played some pickleball tonight.
Oh, did you?
So I'm feeling spicy and like I'm feeling confident because I obviously won. And so
I hear about pickleball all the time. It's like a big thing in retirement communities down here in Florida.
I feel like retiring now. I really do. And just like going on the road playing pickleball. I would love that. I want to go. Like, I love pickleball so much, and I think I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. It feels like one of the sports where I'm like, I could still go pro in the sport. You know what I mean? Even though there's like,
do they have leagues?
Oh yeah, they've like they're on ESPN, bro.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
Wow, I'm out of the loop, dude. I'm not a sports ball guy, but like pickleball, I just thought that was like a lazy Sunday type of thing. I feel like that's almost like having competitive lawn darts.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where you get that from, but it's like it's legit. It's exercise. It's fun. It's not easy, but I mean, for me it is, but for most people it's not easy. And it's just a fun game, and I love pickleball so much.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out. We
can play Myrtle Beach.
Okay, we'll definitely play in Myrtle Beach. Is there like a uniform, like certain attire? Do you just dress like you're playing tennis?
Yeah, there's a uniform. I'll send you what you have to wear.
Okay, because I'll go out and get it. That's for sure.
Okay, yeah. Just don't do any other research. Just take my word for it. There is a uniform.
Oh my God! You know what we could do? We could get like official Badlands pickleball uniforms made.
I'm in.
Like
totally
with
in.
Like numbers. We got to come up with a crest, something like that.
Totally 100% in.
Oh my God! I got another idea. Okay, not only that, but each show has their own specific like league shirt. So then we are a team and we fight the other side. Okay, and then we beat the other team, and then we come down. We do tournament by the end. It's like a bracket and everything.
Oh, I'm so far in. Oh man, I'm in.
Okay. All right.
Let's just spend the rest of the show trying to figure this out. I don't care about anything else we were going to talk about.
Oh man, we got a lot to discuss, John. I'll tell you what.
Oh, you're right. We do.
There's plenty. There's plenty.
Sea tornadoes. What the hell's with the sea tornado? We'll get to that.
It's deep.
Okay, before we do that, let's get a word from our sponsors real quick. The sponsors of tonight's show, because we got a couple of them, and we're very appreciative. And then we'll get into some other things, and then we'll get into sea tornadoes. That story is still mind blowing. I don't even know it yet. But the little I've heard.
Once you really dive into it, it's going to become even more mind blowing.
All right. Well, first up, we got some Field of Greens. We all want to feel healthy and energetic, but most of us are running on fumes. Exercise needing right, it's not easy. It just becomes another thing on our to-do list. But I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be hard. It's why I take Field of Greens. It's whole, organic fruits and vegetables. No extracts, no lab-made stuff. Just one scoop a day gives you simple, real nutrition. Field of Greens feeds your body with fruits and vegetables medically chosen to support your heart, vital organs, and your immune system. Share the difference you feel when taking Field of Greens. Here are some improvements people often see: steady energy throughout the day, no afternoon crashes, better sleep, even stomachs feeling better. Honestly, guys, like for me, my life is like the one thing throughout the day that I sacrifice is cooking. I don't eat the greatest, but I get the diet insurance in Field of Greens. It's my go-to for getting the nutrients I need, even on those bad eating days, which is pretty much every day. I'm sure you'll love Field of Greens, but if you don't, you can return it for a full refund. So why not try it? You can get 15% off your first order and free rush shipping. Visit fieldofgreens.com. Use promo code Baseless. It's promo code Baseless at fieldofgreens.com. And again, full refund if you don't like it. So it's like Why not? Why would you not try it? Doesn't make any sense. And then next up, we got CB Distillery. Let me guess. Your medicine cabinet is crammed with stuff that doesn't work. You still aren't sleeping. You still hurt, and you're stressed out. That's how it was for me. Cleared out my cabinet, got rid of the Advils, got rid of the Tylenols and all that other stuff, and I reset my health with CBD from CB Distillery, and it's been a real game changer. CB Distillery's targeted formulations are made from the highest quality clean ingredients. None of those fluff and fillers, not that gas station CBD. It's the pure, effective CBD solutions designed to help support your health. In 2 non-clinical surveys, 81% of customers experienced more calm, 80% said it helped with their pain after physical activity, and an impressive 90% said they slept better with CBD. So if you struggle with a health concern, you haven't found that relief yet, make the change like I did to CB Distillery. They have over 2 million satisfied customers and a solid 100% money-back guarantee. They are the source that you can trust. You can get a 20% discount to get you started here with cbdistillery.com. And again, promo code BASELESS. That's 20% off, cbdistillery.com, promo code BASELESS. And these money-back guarantees, like,
you can't beat it.
Try it. Why not try it? Because it's either going to work for you, and then you're going to love the product and not want to return it, or it's not going to work for you, and you're like, okay, well, I want my money back, and then they'll give it to you.
You got the product. I mean, it's a win-win.
It is a classic win-win. And as always, we thank our sponsors, Field of Green, CB Distillery. There's a little QR code on the screen you can use to make the purchase right now, and we appreciate you guys supporting our sponsors because that's what keeps us going. That and the pure love of doing it, of course, but you guys supporting our sponsors is a big part of it.
I mean, we can love it all day, but if we're not feeding our families, then it's a little difficult.
That's what she said, I feel like.
Yes, that could be. You could probably work that joke into just about anything. All right.
Yeah.
So I got a series of mini conspiracies that I wanted to just run by you. And then
micro conspiracies.
Well, okay, micro conspiracies. And then and then get into like the full meat of the sea tornado, the sea tornado story, which is totally unusual. Okay, so let me pull this up. Now, a couple of these I have solved. All right. And I always like to go over conspiracies like this because undoubtedly somebody else is going to bring it to the attention of the audience. And then they're going to be like, Zach, did you see this? Like to begin here. Tim Walz tweeting about his dog Scout. The only problem is they're 2 different dogs. Now, the reason this one appealed to me right away, John, is because often we talk about dog comms, right? I mean, where's BB? Hopefully he's out there.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've ever talked about dog comms in my life. Is that a Q thing?
It is a Q thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lots of stuff about dog comms.
Okay.
But you can see here.
Hold on. Can you explain the dog? Like, what do you mean by that?
Usually they'll be talking about like a dog that's died and it will be in close proximity to like a deep state actor that's dying or is about to die or hasn't died yet. But then pretty quickly after this, then they will. But it could also point to other things. But generally, I think that it's accepted that when they will tweet about dogs, they're actually pointing at something else. And then you kind of unlock that within the next couple of days based upon what happens in the news.
Okay.
All right. So right here in June of 2022, Tim Walz said, sending a special birthday shout out to our favorite Scout, to our favorite pup Scout. Now, I'm a dog lover, but I just want you to get a good look at Tim Walz's face and the terror in Scout's eyes. That poor boy. Like, what has he been enduring the entire time he's living with Tim?
And we all know Tim's reputation with horses. Yeah. So, like, you can only imagine with other animals.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm with you so far.
All right. And actually, somebody mentioned something, chat. I should probably just go a little bit deeper on this. So there was a post from Q. Every dog has its day. And then John McCain died on like National Dog Day or something like that. And there have been a series of other posts that we see out in deep state Twitter profiles, but that's a pretty firm point right there. All right. So anyways, Tim Walz talking about his dog Scout. And then about 4 months later, he posts this one. Couldn't think of a better way to spend a beautiful day at the dog park. I know Scout enjoyed it. And he's with a completely different dog. Right.
I can see the color difference. The first one was African-American. This one is not.
Yeah. But, Tim is wearing his Teamsters hat.
Can you zoom in on this picture?
Absolutely. Sure.
All right.
Yeah. And looks like, I don't know, the dog is holding the ball, or maybe Tim is holding the ball.
Well, that's one of those fetcher things. So it's a tennis ball inside that thrower thing.
Okay.
The throw thing is blue. The tennis ball is green.
Okay. All right. So this one has been solved. That's the thing. So if you scroll down a little bit further,
all right,
then you'll find a video.
Oh, okay. So he was with the same scout, but that wasn't the scout he was referring to in the picture.
No. So, but I mean, I guess maybe he thought that he didn't need to go into any depth or anything. But the dog that's barking, he was, obviously petting it. Somebody took a picture. He said Scout enjoyed it because Scout was there. And maybe he thought the people who are following my account know that my dog Scout is the black one.
Gotcha. But you know what? All is fair in love and narrative warfare. And I'm all for this. Like, I do believe Tim Walz is a lying piece of shit. Like,
that's for sure. Yeah.
Stolen valor. I mean, you could go on and on. Like, there are many things that this dude has lied about. Stolen valor is probably the big one. But any examples you can use, like they're going to lie about Trump. They're going to lie about us. They're going to do all these things. Yeah. Why can't we give them a taste of their own medicine?
Absolutely. Did you hear that Tim Walz told a lie, a whopper, that has to do with your I'm sorry, I was going to say North Dakota, but it was Nebraska. He claimed to have won an award like Small Business of the Year or something like that. And the Chamber of Commerce had to put out a press release and say he never received this award. That was a total lie.
No way.
Yeah.
From Nebraska?
Yeah. I mean, I think that he was like back and forth between like Nebraska and Missouri or something like that, or Minnesota rather. Minnesota.
Interesting.
But it was a strange thing. And this is another concept that I see throughout Tim Walz's series of lies. They're all verifiable. Like anybody just about can go out and do a little bit of research and catch this guy in one of these major lies. It's almost like Tim Walz thinks that he's living in like 1950. Like he's that kind of a politician. Like back then you could lie because if a lie was discovered, it was going to be printed in the local paper with a circulation of maybe 10,000, and then it would disappear. And as long as nobody talked about it, it's not going to remain alive. But in our modern world where we've got access to the internet, we've got the ability to fact check. It's so simple. It's very easy. Now, the one thing about him is that he still behaves as if he's in 1950. Like he just ignores these lies and he never brings it up. He never tries to defend himself or anything like that. Like even after he was caught lying about being a command sergeant major, he was still introduced as a command sergeant major at the DNC.
It's wild, man. And like in today's day and age with social media, it's impossible to get away with pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But with the leftists, like the liberals, the people who are watching the DNC unironically, and yes, those people do exist. There are some of them. Those people, do you think they're going to ever come across a source of information that is going to refute him being a general major? Like, is any of the CNNs or any of those people going to talk about, oh, well, he kind of fabricated that? No.
Well, I mean, CNN actually did. I mean, they were
No
forced.
way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have taken great relish, John, in reporting on every time the mainstream media was forced to refute anything the Democrats have said recently.
Isn't relish like a hot dog condiment?
Well, I mean, like I've taken great pleasure. That's what it means.
Use pleasure next, like say that word instead of relish.
Well, it was one word as opposed to two. I was, going for brevity, but now you just fucked the whole thing up.
Well, sorry, bro.
It's all right. But regardless, I take great pleasure in watching the mainstream media fact check whether it be Kamala Harris or Tim Walz. And I mean, it doesn't happen nearly as often as it should. But it has happened on occasion. And in a number of instances in the last couple of weeks, there have been times where CNN hosts have had to challenge talking heads. Even Dan Goldman appeared on CNN and he was like, Donald, I see why Donald Trump refuses to debate Kamala Harris. And I think it was Jake Tapper. And he was like, wait, Dan, that's wrong. Like he actually has agreed to 2 debates and he's proposed a third. And he's like, no. Like you can just see Dan Goldman's brain melting coming out of his ears. And he's got this look on his face like, I can't believe it. But But yeah, it's happened more than you would think.
See, that's surprising to me. Them actually pushing back. That's weird. I don't watch enough liberal media. I haven't seen any of that stuff. I've also been a little absent on social media lately, so it's probably my fault. But
well, I don't watch any liberal media, but I specifically look for instances of what we're talking about right here, just because it does bring me such joy every time.
All right. Well, okay. The .com's debunked. Good there.
Okay. So, but this one's a little harder to debunk. This is an older clip right here, but I thought that given the unity government that we've got forming between Donald Trump and RFK Jr. and anybody else that wants to join up, this would just be a fun one.
Is this what I think it is?
This is probably what you think it is. So this is RFK Jr. on a live stream with Dr. Andrew Wakefield. Dr. Wakefield was a doctor in the UK. He was outspoken on the subject of the dangers of vaccinations, and the UK government stripped his medical license. They called him a quack. He's produced a couple of different documentaries highlighting parents who have vaccine-injured children, and he's been a guest on my show before. I respect him greatly. He's a great guy. More than anything, because he did what most people are afraid to do. I saw this interview yesterday with this black academic guy from Harvard, and he was speaking at some event, and he was there because he had written a paper, a scientific paper. He was attempting to determine whether or not there was a racial bias in police shootings. And because he's a black guy, because he's a Harvard-trained academic, he said, well, this is going to be easy. And so he hired a team of researchers. He worked for a year on, many millions of points of data, looked all over the country.
How much money did he get from the government to do this, by the way?
Well, I mean, he got money from Harvard. I don't know that he was getting grants from the government. He may have. It's very possible, but certainly Harvard is going to be funded by the government. But neither here nor there. What do you think the results of his study told him?
Oh, that is total bullshit.
Yeah, 100%. There is no racial bias involved in police shootings. In fact, if anything can be gained, it's that white people get shot more often than black people. Okay. So he did that research for a year. When he got to the end of the research, he was like, this must be wrong. I hired the wrong interns. And so he hired a whole new crop, and he worked for another year on the exact same data. And when it got to the end of that year, they looked at the research and it was the exact same findings. And so he was like, well, I'm going to publish this and people are going to love it because I just proved that there is no racial bias or there is no propensity for cops to shoot black people. But the problem was, because he's an academic, he's trained at Harvard, he's a black man, he reaches out to his friends. They say, do not publish this. And he's like, why? But it's the truth. And they were like, because it'll ruin your career. And he's like, because I'm telling the truth. And they're like, absolutely, you can't say this. And so he publishes it. And it was published in like a national publication, or perhaps it was a research journal. I can't remember which. And within 5 minutes, mind you, the paper is 104 pages. In 5 minutes, a mainstream media journalist calls him up and says, this is bullshit. What are you doing? You can't be publishing this. This is fake news, garbage. And he was like, how did you read it yet? And he was, well, obviously the guy didn't read it. It was just the fact that he had read the conclusion. So the person interviewing him said, she goes, you did what I think most of us wouldn't do. Basically the right thing. You sacrificed your prestige. You sacrificed your position. You sacrificed the respect that you had in the community. And she was like, why would you do that? And he was like, because it was the truth. Okay.
I'm looking at this now. The data determined that officers were 23.8% less likely to shoot at blacks and 8.5% less likely to shoot at Hispanics than they were to shoot at whites.
Yep. So cops are more likely to shoot whites. They're less likely to shoot people of color. And since like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, the murder rate in the United States increased by something crazy, like 50% in the last couple of years, because police stopped preemptively, like seeking to disrupt crime. They started reacting to crime because they did not want to get a case. They did not want to have the public coming down on them. They didn't want to be responsible for a riot or burning down half the city, because believe me, they would have been blamed. So the reason I bring all of this up is because Andrew Wakefield did the same thing. He was a successful doctor with a career, with a practice, with prestige, with respect. And he stepped up, he said the truth, and they destroyed him for it. And to this day, he gets shit from the mainstream media. They call him a quack. They say that he's discredited. And it's also the same thing that they've done to RFK Jr. I didn't tell you the story yet, but over the weekend, my old neighbor from back in Michigan, he had texted me happy birthday. And I said,
was it your birthday?
Hey, it's my birthday on the 30th.
Okay. Then I haven't missed anything yet. Okay.
No, you haven't. No. And I was like, well, you're early, but I appreciate it. And I said, hey, did you happen to see RFK's speech today? And he was like, he's a quack. I knew he was on Trump's payroll. And I was like, you're wrong. And you're wrong. Now, I know why he's wrong, because he doesn't listen to our shows. Number one, he sits around all day watching cable television and the mainstream media. And the only thing he knows is what he's regurgitated by those mainstream media outlets. And I said, let me drop some facts on you. And at the end, I was like, here, it behooves you to watch RFK's statement. And I want you to tell me when you're done watching it, if you still think he's a quack. He never watched it.
Of course.
Okay.
Not.
So he's comfortable in his implicit bias. And so they've done the exact same thing to RFK, because what he's saying, what Andrew was saying, and what this Harvard trained academic was saying is 100% factual, but it is so disruptive to the mainstream narrative and to the control grid that the deep state and these various organizations have over humanity. They need to be able to control us, and they need to be able to convince us of the lies. Because if we believe the lies, then when the truth stares us in the face, we are unable to absorb it. We're unable to confront it. It's a real shame. It's one of the main reasons that I do what I do. I would imagine it's why you do what you do. And so I'm really, really happy about RFK dropping out and endorsing Donald Trump. I think that it is vital to the healing process that we need to go through as Americans. We are so programmed, John, to just hate somebody because they're a Democrat, or like they're a Democrat, they must be an idiot. They're a Democrat, they must be a Trump derangement sufferer. They're a Democrat, they probably just want to abort babies. They're a Democrat, they're probably a communist. But we can't be certain of any of those things.
Well,
unless you got to talk to people.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You just got to open up and allow yourself to talk to people. And what this is doing, now, number one, more than anything, it is showing that the Democrat Party is essentially made up of radical leftists, which do not represent the majority of Democrats in America. I think that what you have are radical left-wing Democrats, and then you have moderate Democrats that are sort of clinging to the idea of being a Democrat. And the truth is seeping in, and it has been seeping in for quite some time. But what they needed was a little bit of impetus, okay? And what they witnessed with the coup for Joe Biden and then the installation of Kamala Harris was the antithesis of democracy, was the antithesis of representative government, okay? And that was enough to push people. So it pushed them closer to being a Republican, or at the very least, being a Trump supporter. It certainly pushed RFK Jr. because of all of the efforts that they tried to engage in to undermine him. And it looks like it's happening with other people who have identified on the left portion of the spectrum. But most importantly, it shows that even if we've got some positions that we disagree on, this is not about Democrat and Republican. This is about we the people versus the deep state.
Yep.
Okay. And in order for us to come together so that we can overcome that control grid that seeks to kill all of us, no matter what you have next to your name in terms of an R or a D, we have to be able to talk to each other, and we have to be able to find that common ground so that we can come together and unite as a nation to beat these evil bastards. That's what I believe. Okay. And that's what I see for America.
I'm with you with a lot of that. Okay. I have some sympathy and empathy for people who are still like kind of in that matrix, but at a certain point, and we are rapidly approaching that point, I think, like that sympathy and empathy is going to be gone, because a lot of these people have had every single opportunity to like wake up and realize the truth. Like, you can only be lied to so many times, and like some of these lies are like observably true. Like all the stuff they said about Trump for the past 8 years, those are false. Like everything they've said is false. Like even if you're stuck in the same matrix, once you start seeing the truth of things, even these leftist news sources at some point have to acknowledge, even if it's slightly, even if it's like very subtly, they have to acknowledge some of the stuff that they've been saying is false. Like they did with the what did we just talk about, where they said on air that they
Dan
lied.
Goldman and yeah,
like some of these things. Like,
no, you're right. I agree with you there. But never underestimate the power of brainwashing and programming.
No,
that
I totally get it. I'm just saying, like, at some point we're getting there. This upcoming election is like, we're going to be beyond that point, whether it is the election or beyond it or before it. I don't know. It probably is going to be the election.
I think so. Yeah, I think the election is that inflection point. Like, you either you come along or you're going to get left in the dust. And, that unity that I'm talking about, that's so that we can successfully overcome it with the election. Okay.
Yes, but we don't need full unity with these people. That's
no.
Like, I understand everything you're trying to say, and I agree with it to a degree. But there's also like a certain point where, like, I'm not going to feel sorry for these people because they're allowing themselves to be brainwashed. Like, at some point, we can't like drag these people across the finish line. Like, they have to take a couple steps themselves, and if they're not willing to do that themselves, then that's fine. We don't need these people. Like, we haven't needed these people. We didn't even need these people in 2020 when they stole the election from Trump. Trump had the majority then. But
no, I'm not talking about like needing a majority to get a significant number of votes. That's not what I mean. All I'm talking about is the survival of humanity. And I agree with you. I'm not trying to drag anybody along either. Like, either they see it or they don't. Like my neighbor, I had tried on multiple occasions to be like, here's the truth. But he never saw the truth because he only watched mainstream media. And when this is another thing that I don't know that people really understand. Like, I think sometime you should sit down and watch one day's worth of mainstream media.
No.
Okay. Like, I know it's going to be difficult, but if you sat down and did that, then you would have a better understanding of how deep that brainwashing is. Like, John, I shit you not, we are living in two different worlds.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I'm aware. Yeah.
Okay. So like, those people, like, they don't know any of what we're talking about. They don't know about the lies. They don't know about any of the obfuscation, because they have never stepped outside of that programming. Okay. And, either they come or they don't. But I'm talking in a general sense. We have to be able to have a conversation with people. And I'm willing to have that conversation, but I'm not going to do the work for anybody.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, our side has always been, in my opinion, willing to have that conversation. They're the ones that are not. And the example you just gave about your neighbor, like, you told him, like, you were having the conversation with him. You were giving him the opportunity, like, hey, just watch it. Just listen to it. They wouldn't take that step. And if they're not willing to do it, like, why are we supposed to feel bad?
No,
or like be waiting to unite with these people. And
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like feel bad for anybody. I mean, like, I love my guy, love my bro, but I'm not doing any of the work for him. I mean, like, I gave him the tools and he either listens or he doesn't, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. I'm just using it as an anecdote.
No, I totally get what you're saying. And my mindset has changed on this at one point. Like, at one point I was like, we need to help these people. We need to be encouraging. We need to be like, we have to give them a soft landing, all this stuff. And then, like, I started getting kicked off of YouTube, and I started getting doxxed, and I started getting death threats and all this bullshit. I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of like waiting for these stupid assholes to like come across. If they haven't figured it out by now, if they haven't figured it out by the election, it's not my responsibility. It's not our responsibility to help them figure it out, because they have had every off ramp to figure this shit out on their own, and they're gonna have like 300,000 more off ramps before November 5th. And every one of these is an opportunity for them to be like, oh, well, maybe I could rub two brain cells together and figure out that Rachel Maddow might be lying to me and is probably a dude in the process. But that's not the point. These people are evil. I understand they're brainwashed, but still, like, it's an IQ test. Everything since January everything since since Joe Biden was inaugurated has been an IQ test.
Yeah.
Every one of these news stories has been an IQ test, and these people just continue to fail it. And it's not like they're bringing the is it the curve, the bell curve? Like
it's the bell curve. Yeah,
it's the bell curve.
We're on the far right. They're on the far left, and there's a couple in the middle.
At some point, these people just need to drop out of the class and go to the special ed classroom, because it's not our job anymore. But anyway, when it comes to RFK Jr., what I love about this story is he came around, he supported Trump and this whole thing. Like, they've been negotiating this for months.
Yeah.
But could you imagine if he had come out and supported Kamala Harris after everything they've done? Like, the media reaction to that, they'd be worshiping RFK Jr. at this point.
They'd be at his knees. So just to put what I'm saying in the context of like Donald Trump and RFK, Donald Trump sent an emissary to RFK and said, would you be willing to talk to Donald Trump and consider supporting him? And he said, yes, I'll have a conversation with him. Donald Trump invited him into his home.
And this was after he was the assassination attempt.
Yes,
right?
he treated him like a friend. Okay. They talked about the things they agreed on. And because of those interactions, RFK made the decision to endorse Trump. That's a powerful thing. And that's all I'm saying. My arms are open if somebody wants to have a conversation with me, but I'm not showing up at somebody's front door and begging them to listen to me. So I absolutely agree with you. Like, and I've said this for years, like the concept of red pilling. I've seen people in the audience, just banging their head against the wall. Why won't my family listen to me? Like, if they won't listen to you now, they're not going to listen to you for the next 10 weeks as you tell them, let me tell you about how Hillary Clinton eats babies and everything else. It's not going to work, So, I mean, all you have to do is just be ready for someone to ask you a question. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Yep. And I'm just saying that you don't just discount somebody because they haven't woken up yet. They can wake up in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's nothing should change about your process to red pill people. Like, I think you plant the seeds, you allow other people to water it. Don't waste your energy and your time with somebody who doesn't care or isn't interested in actually engaging with you in good faith.
Mm-hmm.
The pointless discussions.
Yes.
So plant the seeds, make them aware that you're kind of somebody to talk to if they ever do cross that threshold.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they'll come back to you, but maybe they won't. That's not your responsibility to drag these people across the finish line, because there are other people out there that you will have opportunities to have success with.
Exactly. And that is, very, very important. You can't internalize other people not getting it. Okay. Like, I mean, they either get it or they don't, but like, you're not going to be able to survive if you're sitting there with this constant pang of guilt because you're unsuccessful in getting people to come across the finish line. It's like the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Okay. RFK was that horse for a long time. Okay. And then finally he took a drink down at Mar-a-Lago and he was like, you know what? I'm going to quit fucking around. Okay.
And hopefully it wasn't a horse that Tim Walz was ever around.
Yeah, hopefully. So anyways, back to this final conspiracy here. Okay. So RFK is on this live stream with Dr. Timothy Wakefield. The person who's doing the screen recording says, scratch or touch your nose if JFK Jr. is alive.
Oh, gosh.
This story was extraordinary on so many levels. The Deitch memo. And this memo, all of the documents that are not in the public domain. And the Deitch memo is one of those documents. It was a discovery document. It was given to me by Mike Hugo, one of the original.
That was like a very obvious touch too.
It was a very obvious touch, and he clearly leaned forward to look at the chat as it was going by, and he looked and then he was like, boop. And then the person says thank you, and then he's like, yes, and then sits back. So I'm not saying that means JFK Jr. is alive. However, I did just want to comment on the special nature of this relationship, given, my personal connection to the Kennedy assassination. I mean, this is what woke me up when I was like 8 or 9 years old, dude. Okay. And we are now closer to getting truth about the Kennedy assassination, the RFK assassination, all of the assassinations that the intelligence community has participated in, up to and including the attempt on President Trump's life. So here we are. RFK is going to be leading that commission to investigate. And I think it's a very special moment.
I love the RFK thing. And here's my thing. I don't agree with him on everything.
No,
Like,
of course not. No.
His background, I have lots of questions. Like, and what? Maybe I legitimately will reach out to them and see if I can interview him, because I do have some like honest questions.
Dude, I've got a connection to his people. He was supposed to come on my show way before he had announced that he was going to be running for office. And then once he announced that he was running for office, he wasn't going to do my show. Yeah. So I don't know. That would be sweet if he came on and talked to Badlands.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'll see what I can do. But what were we talking? Oh, the JFK Jr. being alive thing that haunts my dreams. Like, so okay. Is it possible? Of course.
Sure.
Anything's possible. Anything is possible. Follow your dreams. The world is your oyster. Anything is possible.
Yep.
I personally do not subscribe to that theory, and a lot of people like to talk about it. That's great. I don't care for it. My one piece of advice would be this, and this kind of falls in line with the discussion we were just having. When you're out there trying to red pill people and like, you're trying to encourage them to get over the, hey, just listen to this. Just do this one thing. Just enlighten yourself. Step away from CNN, and also JFK Jr. is alive. Like, that is going to push them further away than it is going to bring them over.
Yeah.
That's my one piece of advice. Don't get into that stuff until they're like red pill. Once you're red pilled, there's no going back. I wish we could find like the once you go black, you can't go back. I wish there was like a clever thing for that with the red pill.
Once you go red, you'll never be dead.
Something along those lines. Yeah, we could do better than that too. But I like that's better than it's the best one we got so far, because it's the only one we got so far. But once they get there, once they wake up, there is no like returning to that. So right. then you're fine. Then you can talk JFK, you can talk earlobes, you can talk whatever the hell you want. I don't care, but don't do it while they're like on the other side, because when they hear you say that stuff, even if it's true, which is possible, it honestly does sound crazy to those people.
I mean, especially because there's no evidence to specifically support it. I mean, it's all conjecture. And and
then you're like, just, RFK touched his nose, dude. And
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. And the reason I brought it up is because, when it happened, there were a lot of people that were like, this is true. Okay, well, all it was him touching his nose in a live stream. I mean, he probably saw it, was having some fun, and there you go. Now, if JFK Jr. walks out, awesome. I think I'll be happy. I think a lot of people will be happy. But I would tend to believe that if he faked his death all those years ago, that's the last thing that he's going to do right now. He's probably living a good life someplace else. All right, now,
and he's most probably dead. Like, he probably died in that plane crash.
Well, yeah. I was saying, if he actually did, if he actually did. Okay. So next, this was this account Into Thin Air. He frequently does screen captures of weather anomalies. And
who is this?
His name is Into Thin Air. I don't know anything about him. I've just seen him on Twitter before.
Right.
And so here, this is a screen capture of a storm over Mexico.
That's a storm?
Well,
that's a donut.
There is a storm, but then in the center, there is this radar anomaly. Let me go ahead and play it. Now, the closer you get, the more anomalous it gets. Obviously, you can see that it is, it's like there is a geometry to it. And it's
like we're talking about that donut thing, right?
We're talking about the donut. Yes, we're talking about the donut. Take a look at that donut right
You know what? That looks like the AIDS statue that they built in California.
I have never seen that.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So look, you can see here. There's some odd stuff. Like this is not something that exists in nature, right?
Well, it does, because it's a butthole.
Okay.
Well, and that's what's so funny about this AIDS statue. I can't believe you haven't seen this. I got to show you this.
Are you kidding me? They put a statue of a butthole?
Yes, for the AIDS statue.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So while you're looking,
no, I got it. Right.
Oh, you got it. Oh man, that was fast. You had that one on deck, huh?
I mean, all you have to do is type AIDS statue California. Years in the making, Palm Springs AIDS memorial sculpture now faces public backlash. It's a butthole. Like, for the AIDS
statue. It's definitely a butthole.
With the striations, like everything. It's a fucking butthole.
Oh, puckered rings and everything.
Yeah, and it looks like that weather anomaly you just.
Yeah.
So they're messing with us.
Okay, so let me show you another video of it. Okay. This is another view, another closer view. Looks like this is on a slightly different, but here, boom, you can see it pop up, and it's like moving this time, and there's a little bit of different features to it, but obviously there is a storm there, and it turns out that there's a radar station like right where this is emanating from. Now, so the reason that you're seeing this image is because of the radar signal that's being sent from the location. But what's interesting is that you've got this weather anomaly around it, and of course, it brings up thoughts of weather manipulation and the like. Now, can we say that one is causing the other? No, not necessarily. If it's just a radar signal, then why isn't it like on all the time? I mean, aren't they always scanning the skies for radar?
Wait, so the theory here is the radar station in the middle is causing the
people who were initially posting it, they were like, oh my god, it's a signal, and it's weird and it shouldn't be there. But I was able to find that there actually is a radar station there. So there's an explanation for it.
Well, it is weird that it's a perfect circle, though, too.
It is extremely weird. I mean, there's obviously a signal that's emanating, but I don't know enough about radar, and I didn't have enough time for the show to go any deeper than what I did here. This would be something for like, a deeper dive in the future.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if that's something I want to deep dive into.
Okay, all right. Well, Brad and I have already done a couple of shows on weather manipulation.
That was a butthole joke, but whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
It's all right.
I can't believe you haven't seen that the Palm Springs statue. That was like we talked about that a year ago on Liberty Den or something.
No, I definitely
so funny.
Did not see it.
And people in the chat are mad at, like, guys, I didn't make the statue. It's not my fault. But anyway, people are wondering if we're going to get into the real theory tonight.
Right now. That was it. Okay. That first portion. Okay. So on the 19th, early morning hours of the 19th, a man by the name of Mike Lynch was on his private yacht. It was called the Baseless. And he and his wife and his daughter and his legal team, as well as the staff on this private yacht, were moored off the coast of Sicily in Italy.
He brought his legal team?
And I will tell you why in just a moment.
Okay.
They were celebrating. And they were off the coast of Sicily, and it was early morning hours, and a tragic event occurred. Now, I will tell you more about that tragic event in just a moment. However, back in 2011, Mike Lynch had sold his company called Autonomy to Hewlett Packard for $11.7 billion or 10.6 billion English pounds.
Could you imagine? Like,
yeah, it's a lot of freaking money. Yeah.
Selling something for billions of dollars.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh.
This company Autonomy began when he was working at Cambridge University. While he was there, he essentially had access to the best and brightest in brain trusts that the United Kingdom had to offer. And while he was working there, he developed a technology, a piece of software that you could deploy at scale that would allow for the deep understanding of large data sets. Now, it's based on something called the Bayes theorem, which is why his yacht was called the Bayesian. So the Bayes theorem is named after a British mathematician by the name of Thomas Bayes. He was around, he was producing theories in the 18th century. And this particular mathematical formula is used for determining conditional probability. What is conditional probability? That is the likelihood of an outcome occurring based upon a previous outcome in similar circumstances. So what the Bayes theorem does is it provides a way for users to revise existing predictions or theories given any new or additional evidence. So think about it like this. This particular theorem is the underlying technology that is at use today in artificial intelligence all around the world, all of them, okay? Because for these artificial intelligence, large language models, it allows you to take large sets of data, and just like the software that Autonomy created, the more information that you pump into this program, the better the results are. So you're talking...
If I'm understanding correctly, so you use prior results to guess like future probability?
That's exactly it.
Oh,
and
okay.
so you can... Now, here's the other thing. The software that was developed by Autonomy was also implemented and in use at a whole bunch of different intelligence agencies.
Is this like supercomputing stuff?
It's definitely supercomputing stuff. I mean, it takes a huge amount of data, and there's some really wild implications, and I'll get into all these. But let me tell you a little bit more about Bayes' theorem. So you can use this in a number of different ways. Specifically in finance, they can use it to rate how much risk you're going to incur if you lend money to a potential borrower. So let's say, like, you've got a pretty good credit score, but you've got a history of taking out loans and then not paying them back. And, you were just able to rebuild your credit after 10 or 15 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can use this Bayes theorem to take a look at the totality of your financial history, and it can assign a particular score for you based upon, all of the data that is included in your particular data set.
So to even like dumb this down further, you have a good credit score, but this person never pays back car loans. Like every time he takes out a car loan, he doesn't pay it back. So the probability of him paying back another car loan
pretty low.
Is not good.
Yeah,
so
because if you're only looking at like one data set, which is the credit score, okay, so like you haven't had any loans, or you only had like one small credit card loan for the last 15 years, and you paid it off on time every month, your credit score is going to go up. But then you've got individual information about your ultimate credit history, your car loans, your mortgage history, if you have any default judgments with the court, if you have other debts that you've squelched on, all of that stuff. That would all be bundled together, basically, and the Bayes theorem would be used to determine ultimately what is the probability that, loaning you this money is a good idea. And it's not just used in the financial sector, but I mean, in a lot of different places, and because of Autonomy. So
the applications with that,
it's pretty vast. It's pretty vast.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other part of this is that you can determine the probability of any event based on new information that may be related to that event.
Makes sense.
So you can use it to determine how the probability of a particular event occurring might be affected by inputting hypothetical new information. So, say like, you've driven to work, I don't know, every single day for the last 15 years, and you've never sped. But then like you input some new data about, maybe people chasing you, or other people driving erratically. And then you can determine, how likely it is you're going to get into an accident, something like that. Or just think about, when you're using any of these large language models that are available right now, when you pump in your question, the more parameters that the model already has embedded in it, the better the answers are, and the more likely it is to give you factual information. So like you've got large language models out there right now that just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's why they keep getting better and better and better. There's a model called Dolphin that's open source, and they have like an 8 billion and a 40 billion parameter model. So obviously the 40 billion parameter model is supposed to be much, much better because it's got a lot more information for it to draw from. And if you're using it for very specific use cases, then it's going to be even better because you're only asking it about a particular set of data. Now,
I love this stuff. I loved stats in high school or in college, which is so weird. But so this is an example I found. Maybe this won't hit, but I'm going to read it anyway. So just maybe this will help people understand. There's a drug test that is 98% accurate, meaning 98% of the time it shows a true positive result for someone using the drug. 90% of the time it shows a true negative result for non-users. Next, assume 0.5% of people use a drug. So if a person is selected at random, you do some math or whatever, the theorem shows that even if a person tested positive in the scenario, there is a 19%, almost 20% chance the person takes the drug and 80% chance they don't. Because of the, I mean, maybe that probably didn't hit with, because that's math, and most people, math doesn't hit with most people. But
so
I love this. I love this. This is awesome.
Let me give you another example.
Okay.
So autonomy, what they would do is they would license their technology, like as an OEM, to Fortune 500 companies, large companies that needed to interpret and extrapolate information from very large sets of data. Prior to autonomy, the only way they had to organize data would be in like a spreadsheet. Okay, so you could have like, headings and subheadings, and, then you could cross-reference things that way. But autonomy is what essentially created the concept of a neural net to think about information in the same way that humans think about information.
Yeah.
So like, we're thinking about everything and the way that everything is connected to everything else at all times in our head. Like when you think about pancakes, you're not just thinking about a pancake on a plate. You might be thinking about all of the ingredients that go in to make a pancake. You might be thinking about memories as a child when your dad was making you pancakes. You might think about that time you went to Denny's and that hot waitress brought out your pancakes, or the old lady spilled the pancakes in your lap. There's all of these various things that are branching off of the idea of pancakes all at the same time. And as much as you can stuff into this model for it to compute, it's going to give you better and better results. Now, I mentioned that there was intelligence agencies that were using it. The reason I know as much about this as I do is because when I read about this story last week, I had seen that there was this tragic accident off the coast of Sicily, and Mike Lynch and his daughter were missing because their yacht, the Baseless, had been hit by a tornado at sea, And when I heard that, when I read that in all of the sources, I said to myself, that doesn't sound right, because tornadoes don't hit at sea. Like tornadoes are on land. Water spouts hit at sea. Now, let me actually take you, John, to a little bit of information about water spouts, because I just want you to understand how ridiculous this is.
This is so perfect because literally last night I watched both Twister and Twisters.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah. So I'm like all strung out on tornadoes right now. And when you said we were going to do sea tornadoes today, I was like, oh my gosh, I know everything.
Okay. So check this out. Okay. What are water spouts and how do they form? All right. So here you've got a couple of pictures of water spouts. This is from a couple of years ago. But I mean, we get them down here in Florida. Like, they get them off the Keys. You can even get them on large lakes. Lake Michigan back home. You would see them occasionally on Lake Michigan. All it is water. All it is air. It's spinning above the water. And so some of the water gets sucked up.
Yep.
But they're generally pretty weak. It's not the kind of thing.
They're always over the ocean.
Yeah, so water spouts are always over the ocean. Okay. So here is a video of one live. Now this is, obviously tall. I mean, it's reaching from the surface of the ocean up to the up to the sky, to the clouds. And I mean, like, they can cause damage, but they generally don't. And in fact, there is only one case. Can you see this right now, what I'm showing?
I can.
Okay. So there is only one case of a water spout ever destroying a boat or killing people at sea. And it's this case.
It's the one that just happened.
It's the one that just happened. All right. So
what is the Bayesian probability of that?
Well, funnily enough, I asked Chat
you really?
GPT about it. Yeah. Well, I'll go into the probability in just a second, because there's another event that happened in close proximity to this event, which makes it even stranger. So waterspouts generally occur in tropical regions. They can basically form anywhere there's water. You can get them in the Great Lakes, Western Europe, the Mediterranean, which is where this one happened, or even the Baltic Sea, in Eastern Europe. But the most common places to see them are along the Florida Keys and the Gulf of Mexico. Not as common to see them in, off the coast of Sicily. But what happens is that they generally form in late spring and summer months, generally after 2 p.m. And because Florida is one of the most tornado-prone areas of the United States, that's why you tend to see these down here.
True?
Yeah. It's crazy, but there's a bunch of tornadoes down here.
Oh my God, we're never doing Gart down there again. Why did you?
Oh, come on, man. There's also freaking hurricanes, dude. But you had
Yeah,
no problem coming down for that.
Well, that was just one weather-related event. Now there's two. I didn't know how to deal with tornadoes.
Okay. Well, what is a hurricane but like a tornado over the sea that's like, also got rain and stuff?
Except it's all scary. And you're not selling me on this.
You don't get tornadoes like in every part of the state. Okay. You just can get tornadoes here. And you got wind coming off the Atlantic, wind coming off the Gulf, and then they meet in the center. We wouldn't be doing Gart like in Central Florida or anything like that.
I think we are gonna book Cocoa Beach again too here.
Cocoa Beach is definitely like Southern Florida. I mean, maybe not Southern. It's like, mid-state, but it's further south. Anyways, it's not the Keys, John. We're not going to the Keys, but
we were thinking of fall 2025 for Cocoa. Like
October-ish
or November-ish.
Yeah, that's definitely hurricane season. So maybe just don't do it then.
Well,
what about January?
I can't just like pull Gart dates on my ass sack.
I mean, it's your shit. I thought you could.
We're trying to keep them like spaced out a little bit.
Okay. Anyways, there's another larger waterspout. Look at this. Can waterspouts be destructive? They are typically weaker than tornadoes, but as seen in the videos below, they can still cause a decent amount of damage. If you're boating in the ocean, you'll want to monitor the weather to avoid waterspouts. You might avoid being in the ocean around the Florida Keys in the afternoon or the evening when there's a chance of thunderstorms off the coast. Long story short, you're going to see if a waterspout is going to pop up. They can cause damage. They can hurt or kill you, but never in the history of modern recorded times or people boating in the Mediterranean or even off the coast of Florida have waterspouts ever killed anyone or capsized a boat like this.
Like literally never.
No, this is a black swan event. Okay. Like first, foremost, and only. First time it happened. All right. So now, before I get into some of the other deeper stuff, I mentioned that other event that took place. So while I'm looking into this story, and then I start going down this trail of waterspouts and sea tornadoes. What was funny is that they portrayed it as a sea tornado. That's not what they're called. They're called waterspouts. But you tell somebody that, oh my God, a yacht was capsized by a waterspout, and everybody's going to go bullshit because that doesn't happen. But you say, oh, it was a tornado at sea. They're like, I can believe that. I can get behind that. All right. Except for me. I call bullshit no matter what. And I start looking into it deeper, and I'm like, well, what did this guy, Mike Lynch, have going on? Well, I told you that he was there with his legal team.
Yeah.
Okay. Why was he with his legal team? Because he had just beaten a case, like a decades-long case, since the sale of autonomy to HP back in 2011 with the Department of Justice. Now, he was successful after a long $30 million effort to beat the Department of Justice. And he did. He even said, the only reason I am free is because I'm rich. And he worked hard. He paid a lot of money. Those lawyers were really, really good lawyers. That's why those lawyers were on the boat with him, because they were celebrating his win. And he thought he was moving into the next chapter of his life. Turns out while he was in the Mediterranean, about 2 days prior, his business partner, a man by the name of Stephen Chamberlain, was out running one morning, and he was killed in a roadside collision. Not even a roadside collision. He was hit by a car driving down the road as he was running. Now, let me actually show you this.
Okay, hold on. So, Mike Lynch sells autonomy, his company.
He sells autonomy to Hewlett Packard. Oh, okay. So let me go through that part before we go into Stephen Chamberlain.
Hold on. So just have a couple questions. This autonomy company sells to Hewlett Packard.
Yep.
It's a software that is used by intel agencies because it uses the Bayesian probability.
Yes, and they license it to other Fortune 500 companies. Let me tell you one more thing.
Why was HP suing him?
That's what I was going to tell you. Okay. So the reason that they paid $11 billion for it, not only because they had this like built-in business with all these corporate agencies and intel agencies, but the power of this thing is unsurpassed. Not only can it take raw data that you give it, but it can also take a look at encrypted data, like say an encrypted database on your competitor's website. And it can look at the way that encryption is structured, and it can tell you what it is they're trying to hide. It can also tell you pretty likely what it is they're working on. Also, if like you have a secret technology that you're working on and one of your competitors suddenly starts a parallel line of research into what you're working on secretly, this software can also tell that. Edward Snowden said, one of the reasons that he whistleblew was because this program would tell him the answers to questions he didn't even realize he had yet. That's how powerful it was.
Wow.
Okay. This is the stuff that you saw in Snowden when it would say they said that they were like reading everybody's emails all at the same time. It's not really reading your emails like word for word. It's looking for patterns and certain types of communication to see if, there is something to look at. So it looks at all of your emails and it can find a pattern where you're like, nitro or, anthrobomb or dynamite or, cyanide. You say that enough times and they're like, okay, you should probably look at these emails, and it will suggest it to the NSA or the CIA. Or, they're looking
like tell you the probability of somebody being a national security threat.
Exactly. Okay. So very valuable. And the person, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, the person who reached out to me was the vice president of autonomy here in the United States.
Reached out to you when?
In Silicon Valley last week, after I talked about this. Well, first of all, I was researching this story and I was like, I'm going to talk about this tonight. I talked about it last Monday. And before I could even talk about it, this person sent me an email and said, Zach, you're never going to believe this, but I was the vice president for this company and I can tell you all about how it works. Wow. And I was like, that's amazing. I was like, I was planning on talking about this tonight. But anyways, we had a Zoom call this weekend and I vetted this person. He knew all kinds of things. I'm not going to, dox them because I don't think they or their family, they don't want to be public, but I mean, you could probably go searching and find a couple of different people that, they could be, but let's just say that they had, they had offices, both, here and then also in the UK.
No way.
Yeah. So they would license this software to these Fortune 500 companies. They would implement it themselves. They also had a location in Washington, D.C., where the person running that branch had a security clearance, and they would work directly with CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, any of these various federal agencies that were using this software. So it was very valuable. Hewlett Packard was not doing well in 2011. They were looking at potentially like winding down their hardware business. Okay. And they needed something to go into. I want to say Carly Fiorina was the CEO at this time.
That's right.
She ran for president. You remember?
Yep.
Yeah. So she was there. They said, Mike, we want this and we want it now. We want to make sure you don't sell it to anybody else. And so he sold it to them for $11 billion. They rushed the sale. They didn't do their due diligence. And once they got it and started looking through, they were like, hold on a second. There's a bunch of financial irregularities here. And they said, this is not worth $11 billion. This is worth closer to $5 billion.
So it was an overvaluation. That was the lawsuit.
An overvaluation. I can tell you exactly how they were able to achieve the overvaluation, because they knew that they needed to make the company as valuable as possible. And the reason my source left Autonomy is because they were asked to do some really questionable things. And they said, I'm not comfortable with this. And so I'm leaving because I don't want to find myself in legal jeopardy. Probably good that they did, because eventually, as I said, they got charged with fraud and wire fraud and conspiracy. Okay. Mike Lynch, Stephen Chamberlain, and then their CFO. Hold on. What is his name? Hold on, because he actually went to prison. The CFO actually went to prison. I think he was fined like $1 million. I think he's in there for like 5 years or something like that. But
because of this lawsuit, or because of
because of the DOJ case. There was a civil case against Mike Lynch by Hewlett Packard, and he lost it. And he owed them $4 billion. And he basically said, you know, you come get it from me, because I live in the UK and you're in the United States, and that's not binding. But as soon as he was convicted in the civil case, the United States began the extradition process. And finally, he was brought here. He was on house arrest in the United States for something like 13 months, could not go back to the UK, had to wait out the duration of this trial. And it was June when he was found not guilty by a jury. They said that both he and Stephen Chamberlain were not guilty. And, you know, I don't have any specific knowledge about them having like full awareness of what was going on. But what I can tell you is that this is an example of what they did to overvalue the company. They would say like Citrix or something like that. Some company. Okay.
Yep.
They would get together with them and they would say, hey, we're going to buy $500,000 worth of Citrix software. And they would write Citrix a check for $500 million. And then Citrix would write them a check for $500 million. So they have expenses, but, you know, they're looking at sales, right? Gross sales. So they would do that over and over and over again. And it was basically money was passing from A to B, but it was an even exchange. And so their balance book in terms of sales was just getting higher and higher and higher. That's how they got to the $11 billion value. But once Hewlett Packard started unraveling the books, they were like, holy shit, we just got took.
How are they found innocent?
Well, because the other guy was found guilty and they were not. They weren't running the books. He was the CEO, he was the owner, he was the brains, okay? And then Stephen Chamberlain, honestly, I don't know what he did. I don't remember what part he had to play in the company, but let me see. You know, the other thing is that Mike Lynch has often been referred to as the British Bill Gates. Like, he's very intelligent. This dude, he started another company even after Autonomy. It was called Dark Trace. There's some cool stuff with that one too. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so 2 days, so they were both found not guilty in June. They were out living their life. Mike Lynch had given a couple of interviews, like in the weeks before his death, talking about, you know, wanting to start a new life. He was a little bit shaken. Obviously, he spent a lot of money. He was only 59 years old. You know, he had, many years left. He was looking at 25 years to life if he had been found guilty. And so he really escaped by the skin of his teeth. And Hewlett Packard was probably none too happy. And they definitely wanted their $4 billion in their civil judgment. Funnily enough, now that Mike's dead, they're going to go after his estate for that $4 billion. I believe that the total value of Mike's estate was like $8 billion. So even if the family has to pay the $4 billion, it's a small amount. I believe his wife is still alive, but his 18-year-old daughter was killed on the yacht with him. But Stephen Chamberlain, the business partner, He died on the road 2 days before the water spout hit this yacht. And I actually have his Strava data. Do you know what Strava is?
I don't.
So you got like an Apple Watch or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, let's just say he's got like an electronic fitness tracker that keeps track of his movements, like where he goes. Okay. So let me show you this. Stop and present.
I feel like we've used this before.
We have, because there was Strava data for those underground bases. Yeah, in Antarctica, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see which one. Okay, here it is. Here we go. All right, so the green dot in Ely is where he started, and he ran down along the banks of this river, the River Great Ouse, until he got to this bridge that was crossing over it way down here between two areas of Cambridgeshire known as Streatham and Wickham. Now, this is the exact location of where he stopped, where his life ended. You can see it's right in the middle of the street, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Let me show you a little bit more here. Here is the actual location.
Jeez.
Okay. You can see there's nothing for miles in both directions. Okay. So he's like right here. Okay. Right here in between these two sets of cars. And he's hit by a car, a woman, a 49-year-old woman whose name they have not released yet. And she is apparently cooperating with authorities. She stopped the car and she called the police. There are no witnesses because it's in the middle of nowhere. But my question, of course, is how in the hell did she not see this guy running down the road? Now,
this is why I don't run right here.
Well, I mean, I think anybody running in an area like this, you would probably have the right to assume that people are not just going to, smash into you. This is not a freeway.
That's crazy, man.
This is a farm road. Okay. So, and like they're in kilometers. So they're supposed to be driving even slower than us. Now,
She must have been on her phone or something.
Well,
or is
that
it a
hasn't
conspiracy?
I think it's a conspiracy. I think it's a conspiracy to murder them. I mean, they both died within 2 days of each other after ripping Hewlett Packard off for $7 billion. Okay. And then and beating a 10-year case at the Department of Justice, okay, over software that was used by the intelligence community and still is to this day.
So, okay, that's a conspiracy. I've questions. Okay, so first of all, with the person who died in the road, if you're the lady who hit him, why would you like call and admit to it? Number one, like, I mean, I assume you could say like she was MK Ultra or whatever.
MK Ultra, exactly.
Okay, definitely possible. And then we're gonna have to get into how did they target a wind tornado thing on the ocean?
Well, we've already done shows on weather manipulation. That's kind of why I brought that.
Can they be specific?
Absolutely.
Like see, this is why we don't do a GART on a freaking cruise ship.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would say probably don't do a cruise ship GART, but yes, they can be hyper specific. Okay, I mean they have these radar manipulation towers all over the earth, dude. Okay, I mean like boom, they can like go like specifically to one spot. They can go ahead and set it up.
I mean, man, that's a lot. That's asking a lot for me to like get on the conspiracy train with. Like not just MK Ultra, but a super specific water tornado.
Okay. So, all right. I get it. But like,
but I'm close.
Let's just go over here to Chat GPT.
But it is crazy that like were there just two business partners in this?
Yeah, it was just them.
It was just those two, and they're both dead now.
Within 48 hours of each other.
Yeah, that's wild. That's
one of them gets hit by a car. You can write that one off. Okay. But then the other one has a tornado hit his yacht at sea. They weren't the only.
Never happened before.
Never happened in the history of mankind. Let me actually show you the video.
Wild.
Let me show you the video.
They have a video of it too?
Oh, yeah.
Where have I been? I don't. Where was it? Did this happen while we were at GART or something? I remember hearing about it, but I haven't seen any of this.
It happened on the 19th. No. Were we at Guard on the 19th?
I don't remember the date of Guard.
Oh, here he is. This is Sushavan Hussain. I was told that this guy was basically a patsy, that he was likely like hired on with the intention of setting him up to take the fall for everything that happened. And that if my source would have stayed there, it probably would have been him. He would have been the one.
Okay.
All right. Now, hold on. I'm looking for... Oh, here's the other thing. They're using this as an opportunity to tell us that the reason this waterspout, aka water tornado, took down his yacht is because climate change. And we're just get ready. You're probably going to see some more of these. They're going to be hitting, even though the Atlantic Ocean is cooling, and it is reversing trends that we've seen over the years.
For them, that's like two birds with one stone. The deep state can take out the guy who ripped off HP, and they can put another, notch in the belt of climate change and why we need to fix things.
That's right. Now they hold on. Let me pull up this. Now, like I said, he had also started a new company called Dark Trace. He was in the midst of a $5 billion deal to sell that company too. But of course, it didn't go through. And the company that was trying to acquire it had attempted to a couple of years ago. Negotiations fell through. And so they were trying again.
So this guy started multiple billion-dollar companies.
Remember, he's the Bill Gates of the UK. Okay. He's, however, a lot smarter than Bill Gates. Okay. Let me make this full screen here. So this must be like a webcam or like, a cam at the dock or something like that.
Yeah.
But this line that you see out there with the lights, that is like the mast of the yacht or an antenna on the yacht. And that's the ship out in the harbor. So you can see there is some, extreme weather there for sure.
So it's not that far away from shore.
No, not super far, but far enough for it to sink to the bottom and people to die.
Was there any other injuries in this thing?
I mean, yeah, there were like four to six people who died. I don't have
any other boats that were affected.
Not to my knowledge. No, this is the only boat. And this is like a multi-million-dollar yacht. Okay, this is a seaworthy vessel, not old, newer. Oh, and then it goes away.
Wow. All right.
All right.
Did anybody survive it?
Yeah, there was like a dozen people on there or something like that. I mean, it was full of people. He had all of his legal team. There was his daughter. I forgot about the Morgan Stanley International Bank chairman, a guy by the name of Jonathan Bloomer. He was also on there, and he also died. Now, I haven't had any opportunity to look deeper into him, but there could be something else going on right there. But let's see. He had founded Autonomy. He was the co-founder and investor in another cybersecurity firm, Dark Trace. And then, of course, he had been acquitted of the 15 counts of fraud and conspiracy. Let's see. HP wrote off a stunning $8.8 billion within 12 months. They demanded an investigation. If it wasn't for HP, the DOJ wouldn't have gone after him, and probably wouldn't have gone after him if he didn't lose the civil case. Now, here's the other part, is that Lynch had promised to become a crusader for the innocent and to reform extradition laws, because it is far more easy for the United States to extradite British citizens than it is for the British to extradite American citizens. It's not reciprocal. It's basically like the United States is the mama and the UK is the bitch in this analogy here. But let's see. The DOJ really wanted him. I would imagine that HP had a lot of power. He also founded Invoke Capital. That became the largest investor in Dark Trace. Other companies featured in terms of funding targets for the company, among them Sophia Genetics, Feature Space, and Luminance. Dark Trace was founded in 2013. They thrived in the thick soup of security establishment interests. British prime ministers have fallen within its orbit of influence, so much so that David Cameron accompanied its CEO, Nicole Egan, to an official visit to Washington, D.C. in January 2015 ahead of the opening of their U.S. headquarters. Members of the UK Signals Intelligence Agency, GCHQ, are said to have approached Lynch, who proceeded to broker a meeting that proved most profitable in packing Dark Trace with former members of the UK and eventually US intelligence community. Okay, so this is another aspect to it. He was still involved with various aspects of the intelligence community. It wasn't just the original application that he had built. But on the books at Dark Trace were former operatives of MI5, MI6, CIA, NSA, and FBI. So now think about his ownership interest in Dark Trace. Who does that revert to now that he's gone?
I don't know. Probably the intel agencies.
Or the former intel operatives working there. You know what else this reminds me of? Kind of is the Inslaw affair. We haven't done Inslaw or the Octopus, but we need to do that, and I'll probably set that up for us for next week.
No, I don't think I finished that series. I think I got like 2 episodes in, and I think I have 2 left.
Okay, you need to finish that before we do the breakdown of this, because I want you to have a full understanding of that. Okay, so co-founder of Dark Trace, Stephen Huxter. He was a notable official in MI5's cyber defense team. He is now the managing director. Let's see. Other connections of interest in extensive reach of the cyber industrial complex. Alexander Arbuthnot, yet another cut-and-dried establishment figure whose private equity firm Vitruvian Partners found Dark Trace worthy of receiving a multi-million-pound investment as part of a push into cybersecurity. He has some interesting family ties. His mother and Westminster Chief Magistrate, one Lady Emma Arbuthnot. The magistrate provided over part of the lengthily cruel and prolonged extradition proceedings of Julian Assange, founder of WikiLeaks and hounded for alleged breaches of the U.S. Espionage Act.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else on the boat that was of note?
Well, I mean, his lawyers, the Morgan, what was it? Morgan Stanley. I'm sorry. Okay, Morgan Stanley's International Bank chairman, Jonathan Bloomer.
Wow.
And then, of course, the lawyers. I mean, I think that those, the 2 guys and then the set of lawyers, I mean, that's notable. That's certainly notable.
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley, obviously, lots of money involved there.
Yep.
But, even more connections to intelligence. And then, obviously, we have a connection to WikiLeaks now. Connections to the UK military community, their UK Minister of Defense. On August 17th, a few days prior to his drowning, is when his co-defendant was struck in Cambridgeshire. Let me show you this too. I actually did a Google Earth workup of where this guy was hit. Let me stop. Let me present. Share screen, Google Earth. Okay. All right. So Wiccan is down here. Let me see. What's the other one over there? Streatham is up here. So I found it difficult to get much in terms of specifics on here. For only in the last 2 days have I been able to get like the actual location, because his death was not announced until after Mike's death was announced. And then it was only announced in conjunction with Mike's death. Like, how weird. We have this death, and now we learn that his former co-defendant died 2 days prior.
Wow.
So it just said that he was killed between these 2 areas of Cambridgeshire. That's like a county. Now you can see like this is a lot of farmland, dude. I mean, like there's not much out here. And this line right here between Bridge 1 and Bridge 2, that's the river that he was killed on. New Market Road and A1123. This is where he was jogging. Hang on, where is the other one? Where is Ely?
So he successfully jogged out of town without getting hit by a car.
Okay, this is where he began, was up here in Ely. Okay. And he jogged all along the river, and was
How far is that?
I don't know exactly. I could probably figure out how to measure the distance, but it's not super. I mean, he's a runner. Okay, this is like what he does. But he like ran all the way along, and the river branches off right here. There's another river, the River Cairn? River Cam. River Cam branches off to the right, and then the River Great Ouse stays to the left here. There's two bridges, okay, that could have been where he was killed. And you could see in that one picture that there is a little house right there. This is that house. All right. And this is right where he was killed. Now, I just want you to look here. I mean, this is a straightaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's got to be probably some elevation change, but
well, I tend to think it's by looking at the pictures that I saw and what I'm seeing here, I mean, this appears to be basically at sea level. Now, if you would have been hit and killed like inside Streatham here, like in town or something, it might make a little bit of sense. But from Streatham all the way down to Wickham, you've got a basic straight road with level ground. You've got a slight elevation at the bridge. Okay. That bridge comes up over the river just a little bit, but it's not much.
And I mean, to be fair, like this guy's probably jogged this route many times.
And because he's this is what he does. I mean, he was more than likely wearing, some kind of, maybe a vest or like stripes or, his, something. I mean, this guy was an outdoorsman. This is what he did. So this woman comes down this road for I don't know how long, okay, because it doesn't matter which direction she's coming from. She's got a lot of room to pick up that speed and just boom, hit him. Now, I mentioned that he had the Strava data. The Strava data was tracking his movements as he ran. Strava is uploaded publicly like a social media site, basically. And it allows people that, you're friends with or, people that you give access to the ability to track that. And like when you're done with your workout, it's going to, show up and people can say, okay, well, I want to try to do that too. But it would also allow someone to track his specific location if they had access to that device.
I see what you're saying.
And so if you take a look at where he is on that road, he has basically gone to like the halfway point between these two counties in the middle of nowhere where there's no witnesses and there's no possible way for anybody to see what happened. The police are looking for witnesses right now. I guarantee they're not going to find one. They had that one house right there. Nobody saw anything. You have the woman. Now she called it in and she stuck around. And he ended up dying in the hospital. So, what are they going to do? I mean, you're going to come after me? I mean, I told you I hit him. I'm real sorry about it.
Man.
Okay. It gives them a lot of plausible deniability, but they have access to be able to track his location and to see exactly where they need him to be before they kill him.
This is what's crazy. Like kind of to wrap this up here, if we're going to believe the conspiracy here that these guys, they kind of fucked over HP. They were celebrating it, and for whatever reason, you're not safe. Nobody, they can get you wherever, however they want, if they want to. If we're to believe the conspiracy, because that is weird that these two people died in the most random ways possible within 2 days of each other.
Within 2 days of each other.
The tornado, the sea tornado thing. That's like.
Let me take you to Wiki or to ChatGPT. So I said Stephen Chamberlain and Mike Lynch were acquitted of fraud and conspiracy in the United States on June 6th, 2024. And on August 17th, Chamberlain was hit by a car and killed. On August 19th, Lynch's yacht was hit by a tornado at sea and sunk, killing him, his daughter, and 4 of his lawyers that defended him in the trial. What is the probability of these two events happening in such quick succession? The probability of 2 highly unusual events happening in quick succession can be calculated theoretically if we have enough data. But in this event, the events are so specific and rare that assigning a precise probability is very difficult. Number 1, breaking it down. Event rarity. Both of these events, Chamberlain hit by a car and Lynch's yacht sinking in a tornado, are rare occurrences individually. Pedestrian fatalities. The probability of being hit by a car varies widely based on location, but in the US, it's approximately 1 in 47,000. It's probably a lot less in the UK, especially in that area. Tornado at sea. Tornadoes at sea or waterspouts sinking a yacht are extremely rare, as tornadoes over large body of water are very infrequent, and yachts are generally well equipped to handle severe weather. The probability would be extraordinarily low, compounded by the fact that it involved fatalities, including multiple people. But the probability of these events occurring in such a short time frame would involve calculating the conditional probability, which is complex due to the rarity and randomness of each event. Now, assuming these events are independent, one doesn't affect the probability of the other. The combined probability would be the product of the individual probabilities. However, these are so rare and specific, calculating that is speculative at best. However, it just doesn't fucking happen. This is not the kind of thing that you're just going to see. It's
saying the probability is 0.
Exactly. Yes, it's saying the probability is 0.
As Bay Theater Dave points out, that is the burning bright version of saying 0% chance.
Exactly.
Man. That is, I mean, that's
now
crazy.
somebody asked if the woman that hit him was still alive. She's unharmed. I mean, she was driving a car. She's fine. She hit him. They haven't told us how fast she was going. They haven't identified her. They really have said nothing other than she's a 49-year-old woman who is cooperating with authorities.
What kind of car?
Citroen, I think it was. Hold on.
Citroen.
It's European, dude. Let me see.
Interesting.
Let me see. He was taken to a hospital, put on life support. His death was announced on late Monday. So, I mean, he might have even survived being hit by the car. He was put on life support. How do we know that something wasn't done to him in the hospital?
Did he die? Because wasn't the water spout on Monday as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
So technically, he died the same day as the water spout.
I mean, yeah, I guess technically, because it was early Monday that Lynch was killed. And it was, just a couple days before that Chamberlain was hit by the car, and then he actually died on Monday. So, yeah, interesting. Hang on just a second. I know that I saw in one of, it's a Vauxhall Corsa, a blue Vauxhall Corsa. Let me see if I can pull up.
Like a Volkswagen or something? Vauxhall Corsa?
Vauxhall Corsa. Hold on. All right. It's a small car. Hold on. Got it.
Like one of those mini cars? Micro car?
Hang on. I mean, it's a small car. It's like, honey, what kind of car do you have?
Talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Lisa. Because I know she's watching.
Sometimes you call me honey, so I just never know.
All right. This is a Vauxhall Corsa right here. Like a Chevy Versa or something.
Huh.
Compact.
And the crazy thing is though, like with technology these days, they can tell you what you were doing on your phone at the time of the accident. Like they can get into all those details if they want to.
And see, that's the thing. If she was at fault because of something like that, they would have already said it and they would have charged her. But she's not charged.
How would she not be at fault though? Like he was running, unless he was running like, did he jump out in front of her?
Yeah, he just stumbled out into the road. And I was going, I mean, how fast could she have been going? I mean, people get hit by cars going like 35 miles an hour all the time, and they might bounce, but they're not necessarily going to die.
I don't know. That car looks way too much like a Subaru, and I don't like Subarus.
No, dude, that's way smaller than a Subaru. I mean, just because it's a wagon, there are no two-door Subarus, John.
Yeah, I don't know. Never looked into Subarus enough to know that.
Now you know. Now you know.
I don't believe you.
They're full size. They're wagons.
I'll have to ask both Burning Bright and Just Human because they're both lesbians and own Subarus. So
okay, I own a Subaru.
Oh, well, you're a lesbian too. I didn't know that.
Oh my god! All right, so I think we've reached the conclusion of this particular conspiracy.
The lesbian insult is
no. It's just I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I've given you all the information.
I don't know what to say about it either.
Somebody in the chat earlier said that autonomy never worked. That's not what I was told. It's definitely not what I was told. And it was in use by the United States government. So unless you've got another contact that worked at the company that can tell me differently, then I'm going to go with my source.
Dude, it's weird. It'd be one, like either one of these things on their own, like getting hit by the car after the lawsuit. Like, wow, that's a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Or the water spout. I mean, that's really suspicious. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
both
I mean,
of them within like 48 hours.
I mean, it's easy to kill somebody with a car, and they also have weather manipulation. Okay. I mean, like that's a fact, John. I mean, let me send you the show that Brad and I did on it. And you might even go back and watch the show that you and I did on it because I proved it to you. Yeah, I proved it to you already.
And Trump said he's going to nuke those hurricanes.
That was a joke, but
but was it?
Nukes are fake and gay. That's what Patrick told me.
Yeah, that's true. All right. We do have we have quite a few rants, and
let's go through them.
We have a boost here this is from a few weeks back, but I think we didn't do any Mondays. So this is from Aries Girl on August 12th. It's a question for you, Zach. I went back and watched episode 26, Trump Time Travel, prior to boosting you. I've read The Last President 3 times, but still can't figure out what the heck the ending means. It made no sense to me. Did you understand it?
You know, it's been a couple of years since I've read it, so I would need to go back and just take a look again. But I don't have a copy right now. I would need to get my hands on a digital copy and read the last chapter.
Okay.
So yeah, the answer is no, not right now, but I'd be happy to go back and look at it.
It's a to be determined.
Wild boar. No, I have an Outback Wilderness. He asked if I had a WRX, but it's got a
withhold comment.
It's basically an Outback with like WRX features. So it's got like a supercharger and stuff.
I'm sure it does. I'm gonna reserve my comments.
John, it rips.
Don't want to hear it. Don't want to know.
I mean, I've got like a tent that goes on top of it. I've got kayaks and stuff. I mean, like
you're not gonna change my mind.
I may not, but I'm just telling you that it's utilitarian.
Let me show you something here quick.
The Saturn Brat. I've never heard of the Saturn Brat. I'm from Michigan, and Saturns were produced in Michigan, but I never saw it. I gotta look this up. Hold on. Saturn Brat.
I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. This is for you, bro. I'm gonna send this article to you.
Subarus became the car for lesbians. See, this is like LGBTQ appropriation.
Hey man, you're the one who bought the Subaru, not me.
That's funny. Okay.
Okay. One more boost, then we'll do the rants.
Okay.
$100. Thank you from Jay Napersky. Hi Zach, sent you a message on your Red Pill 78 site. I would love you to listen to those 2 videos of Jack Cruz, specifically the one with Rick Rubin Kennedy. Pass on to the boys at Liberty Den and have a discussion. Everyone listening, look up on YouTube.
Yes, I had already seen one of the videos, but I started listening to the second one today, and I just never got around to sending them to John. But thank you very much for that, and I will definitely send them to you, John, and then we'll have to talk about them on Liberty Den on Friday.
Well, now that I know you own a Subaru, I don't know if I'm going to respond, but we'll see. I'll think about it.
You know, after seeing you driving around, I started looking at new cars, actually.
Did you?
After this weekend. Yeah. Because you remember we had a conversation about Broncos, and you were like, "That sounds sweet. I think I'll buy one." And then, and then you just went and did it.
Well, yeah, I've my Jeep. It was older. I was like wanting to get something. I didn't know what, and so I got the Bronco Badlands, and this was like like 4 or 5 months ago. And it's funny. My girlfriend's dad has a Bronco, and he's like telling me about all these things you can do, like customizable things, like you can do. He's like asking me questions, like I have literally no idea. I only bought this because it says Badlands. That's it. That is the only reason.
So
and I love it. I do love it though.
I mean, they're badass. It's just they're a little outside of my price range. However, I did find one that was a salvage title. It was rebuilt, and it's a 7-speed manual, and it's less than 20 grand.
Oh,
yeah. So I might just have to trade my car in and pick that up, because I think they would give me at least 20 grand for my car.
Well, any reason to trade in your Subaru, I'm all in on that idea. So
I've owned Fords before, and I'm not super clear on the modern day reliability of them. But I mean, you can't find manuals anymore. I love driving stick.
Yes, I've never driven a stick shift, so props to you if you can. But anyway, okay. Rants. We got some great title ideas here from AH13. Great King John Harold, a royal title suggesting an elevated status among the host of kings. I'm going to put that on the list, man. I like that one.
Okay.
For the first one. EC was here, says, I've often wondered if Al Gore regrets inventing the internet.
Wait, say that again?
I've often wondered if Al Gore regrets inventing the internet. That's an all-time rant right there. Thank you.
That is good.
Age 13. Grand Duke John Harold is considered to be part of the reigning nobility. I like it.
Oh, good.
And then another rant. AH13 again says Sovereign Prince John Harold, from the Latin princeps, meaning one who takes first place. That might be it. That might be the one. Thank you for those ideas. I'm going to have to put this to a vote or something. Marie Cat says Tim Walz is not from Minnesota. He's a Nebraskan. He's just one of many carpetbaggers in Minnesota. He's not one of us. By the way, his Wikipedia page still has all of his lies in print.
I love the term carpetbaggers.
I do too.
When locals are like, he's a carpetbagger. I mean, Tim Walz is definitely a carpetbagger.
What does it even mean?
Well, I mean, literally back in the day, like during the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, you would have guys like leave home. They would take a stick. They would throw all of their worldly possessions into a carpet. Obviously, it wasn't a very like thick or luxurious carpet, just enough so they could wrap up all their stuff, toss it over their bag, and then, or maybe they would make a handbag out of carpet, and then they would travel like that.
I'm trying to just picture that, and I'm having a hard time because that would be really difficult to do with most carpets I'm familiar with.
Yeah, well, this was the 1930s, and people basically had nothing. So just imagine people, instead of buying new pants, they would sew patches onto them or hem them themselves. I mean, people were industrious.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays you can't, people were not just going to Big Lots or Goodwill or something like that.
Yeah. These days they're buying the pants with the holes cut into them.
That's right.
Crazy. It's the classic dad joke. Did you get those pants 20% off?
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Anyway, Keith O'Higgins. Love Keith O'Higgins. Keith O'Higgins.
Somebody fact checked me. I guess carpetbaggers came from Reconstruction. So much
further
back than what I thought.
Okay. So back in the 1870s?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Keith O'Higgins, who's been on a roll lately, so I have high expectations anytime I read a Keith O'Higgins rant. Zach's horse to water analogy should now be translated to horticulture. You can lead a whore to culture, but you can't make them think. Free your mind and your ass will follow.
I love it.
Like it.
Oh,
Thank
God.
you, Keith. RPRN says, I gave up on trying to red pill people. The mild assisting me is actually looking forward to all the normies freaking out when they hear the truth. I feel like there's a typo or something there, but
Could be.
Fox 01. I agree with John, especially as someone who was from San Francisco. Let them fall. The brainwashing is so ingrained. Besides it being exhausting, it's disappointing. It can get to you, or you can get stabbed in the back. Tin Man 1295 says you could use that statues for a monkeypox vax advertisement.
That would work.
Probably talking about the AIDS butthole statue. 1027 JS says happy birthday early, Zach.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, the 30th. I'm going to try to remember that. Somebody tag me and remind me on the 30th that it's Zach's birthday, so don't forget. I would appreciate that. RPRN, I would love to hear Zach talk about the Deagle report.
The Deagle report. That sounds familiar, but hang on. DEAGLE report.
I'll have to check that out. Dave 75.
Oh, this is about population, I think. Yeah. Okay. No, I actually have this on our list of things to talk about.
Yeah. Maybe next week. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave 75 says, Zach, you need to get Rise to make some tripod gear.
Oh man. Yeah.
I've been working with Rise. Oh, did he die for sure?
Tripod's definitely gone. Now, Rise did make this hat and this hat.
Ooh.
Both truckers.
How do you know Tripod's dead?
Well, because he lived on my property and then he disappeared several months ago. I mean, if he shows up again, I'm going to tell people, but I mean, I'm assuming that, he's gone. I mean, there was no water around here for months and months. I mean, it was like so hot. If he is still alive, then he had to migrate someplace where there was water, and it wouldn't have been anywhere around here.
Did he by chance screw HP out of any money?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anyway, Rise Attire and Badlands Media is collaborating on some merch at the moment as well. So
it's wicked.
Seen a few designs. Pretty. I should send you the latest one, Zach. It's pretty cool. Actually, you know what? I'm going to text you it right now.
Ooh.
And you can tell me what you think about it. Give me 1 second to. Because you saw the first one, right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Hold for processing.
Lisa said maybe he has a family, honey.
Yeah.
You mean maybe he does. We don't. We truthfully don't. I mean, I don't have confirmation, but I mean, he did get bit once by something already. I mean, he was already at a disadvantage. He was blind in one eye. He was missing a leg. It just seems like, nature probably took its course. I wake up every morning going outside and like looking around to see if he's here, and he hasn't been.
Is Tripod the first thing you think about when you wake up?
Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, when I go outside, like.
Geez, Lisa, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, she's asleep. I got to take the dogs outside. I go out back with them.
I'm just kidding. All right, I text you the Rise Attire.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
That's the recent one.
Ooh. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
There's gonna be two versions of that. But anyway, okay. We'll keep going through here. Techno Axe says, I hear the bunghole statue thing is going to be the shape of the new Dunkin' Donuts pastry being fielded in Boston. DEI pronouns for the win.
Sweet.
I like it. Thank you for the rant. There's more here. Okay. S Grace 7, $100. Thank you. John, for same reason you don't want to agree RFK touching his nose to the junior question, Patrick needs to stop with the flat earth BS. I was a military pilot. The earth isn't flat. Think Coriolis force.
So, like, if I can.
Well, can I respond real quick?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, I'm not on board with the flat earth stuff. Patrick's his own person. You've seen for yourself that the earth isn't flat, but you have not seen for yourself that JFK Jr. is still alive, and RFK touching his nose does not prove it. That is not evidence. So until you can show me evidence that you've seen with your own eyes, I appreciate the $100 rant, but that is not the same fucking thing, bro. Not the same thing, even close. But thank you, Escray, for the rant.
So, on that same note, at the last guard before Deadwood.
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. I also met a military pilot who, for like
the Earth was flat.
2 days straight, he was trying to convince me that the Earth was flat, based upon his firsthand knowledge and information. So I find it fascinating anytime people have like similar, like comparative experiences, and they come away with like two completely different interpretations.
Because that's funny. Because I've had pilots also tell me it's flat, and pilots also tell me it's not. And it wasn't at GART though, so it's people who've reached out in emails. So like that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Julie JN says, funny, I heard about this on the radio Tuesday leaving South Dakota. Told my husband, sounds like good guys took out some bad guys. Then they talked about it on Eye of the Storm. Now I'm hearing this side.
Yeah, Julie. I mean, anytime, I mean, we don't know which one it is, but I mean, it just seems most likely to me that they were killed by someone. And I think, like, who has the power to manipulate the weather? Who has the power to control somebody's mind? Who would get really pissed off if they got burned on $9 million? You know, I mean, certainly. And then you have the presence of all of those intel agencies from multiple Five Eyes countries.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Then we have Salt Muncher ODA, the baddest ass Subaru ever. Rest in peace, Ken Block. And then
yeah.
A YouTube link to this. And I'll put on the screen.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I mean that's cool, but Zach, does your Subaru look like that?
Well, no, it's not a rally. I mean, that's like a rally car right there. I mean, yeah, and that's probably running on like methane. Maybe not, but I mean, I would imagine it's running on some super premium fuel.
Maybe. Keith O'Higgins says autonomy is an advanced search platform. Hold on. Use maps to Google Zoo, and it sends you to best zoo using Bayes theory type zoo. And if you watch Senk Uyghur and like Tim Walls, you get led to best heavy petting zoo. God. That was good. That was some rough English, but that was good. And then Keith O'Higgins, Tripod is currently working for a 3-legged agency. Don't blow his cover yet. That's rough.
Oh man.
And then S Gray 7, $20 again. Thank you. I'm agreeing with your reasoning about JFK Jr. That's my point. Flat Earth shouldn't be mentioned. It turns off too many from the larger message and good work you do. I get it. I've gotten many emails about the Flat Earth thing, but I do love Patrick, and I will not censor anybody on my network who I believe to be operating in good faith. And I believe that to be Patrick. I will not censor him. If he wants to try to convince people the Earth is flat because he believes it, he can do that. And it is what it is. Might turn some people off, but
I mean, I think that's what makes Badlands Badlands, is that we're allowed to talk about our beliefs openly with, you know, a modicum of ridicule. I mean, you'll definitely make fun of people. But
Patrick hears it, guys. Like Patrick knows many people, even on the network, do not agree with it. I personally do not agree that the Earth is flat. But if Patrick wants to talk about it, I am not going to stop him. This is what it is.
Ben Adams wants to know if my Subaru has ground effects. No. I don't even have LEDs inside. Like my last Subaru had like LEDs all throughout it, but I don't really need to drive anymore. Like, I mean, it's just there for me to go to Publix.
Publix?
That's like the grocery store.
There's no other car that will go to Publix. Is that the only kind of car they allow, or something?
I mean, no, that's my car. I have my car to like, you know, when I need to drive places, but I don't really drive like I used to. Like, I mean, when Lisa lived in Ohio and I lived in Michigan, I would be in the car a lot. But I mean, now I'm working more than anything else. So if we drive, like we're going to the beach, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm driving to the airport to fly to a GART, but I don't have to like drive, you know, too many places. So
I'd hope not in the Subaru.
Yeah, I haven't put a ton of.
I was gonna keep making fun of you until you sell that fucking thing. So just do it.
Oh God! Oh, look at that! Rise the Tire loves Badlands.
What's up, Rise?
Spinners? No, there's no spinners. No, dude. No, it's got aluminum rims, but there's no spinners on them. That's funny.
Oh man, Zach. We'll talk about this off air. We'll get that thing sold. We'll do what we do.
The dealership's trying to buy it from me. Honestly,
sell it, dude.
Okay, so listen, man. I got a good interest rate. Okay, like it's practically nothing. And if I go get a car right now, they're going to charge me like 7%. Like I'll just be throwing money away. I don't want to do that. I'll hold on to it for another couple of years. I barely drive, so like there's hardly any miles on it.
Just
if somebody's got a really good deal on a Bronco, just let me know. We'll work it out.
Zach, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Okay.
Okay, Dad.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. It's been a fun one as always. Hit that thumbs up, and yeah, we'll see you next time Wednesday, right? Altered State Wednesday.
Yes, I'll be back at 9 p.m. Altered State with Brad Getz. That's correct.
And DPH will be right after that. So we'll both see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good rest of your Monday, everybody. Have a good week.
Peace.